A Trip to Woodland. Retold by Jane and Sarah Brierley. Illustrations by Tony Wolfe. The Wonderful Journey. One day, by sheer chance, Firebrand the blacksmith gnome discovered Globbles. He was making soap to clean his workshop, and the frogs were happily blowing soap bubbles. "Did you see that?" cried one. The bubbles were bouncing around in the air, bumping into each other without bursting. "Dear me," said Firebrand. "I've gone and put glue in the mixture. Well, I never! Globbles!" The gnomes were delighted by the discovery. Cowslip, who longed to fly, had soon rigged up a pedal propeller. "But how will we get globbles that are big enough?" asked Campion. Cowslip looked crestfallen. Then his eyes lit up. "I know! Get Crocus and the magic ring and make Redbeard big again." Firebrand mixed up a big barrel of global water down by the river, while the gnomes carved a big pipe with a step on it. Redbeard began blowing giant globbles. In no time at all, the gnomes were careening through the air. They spent a wonderful afternoon flying over the fields, over Redbeard's giant vegetable patch, and over the mill on the river. But after a while, it got stuffy inside the globbles, and the gnomes had to come back to earth. The other gnomes and some of the woodland folk were very excited. "We'd like to go traveling too," they shouted. Clover, the carpenter gnome, had an idea. The next day, the gnomes could hear sounds of sawing and hammering from the cave where Redbeard stayed when he was big. All day long, the noise went on. That evening, Clover announced that he and Redbeard would take 30 gnomes and woodland folk on an excursion. "An excursion? What's that?" said everybody. "Come out now, Redbeard," called Clover. And out of the cave came Redbeard, carrying a pair of 2-story excursion houses with red and white striped canvas roofs. Everyone gasped. "An excursion is a special holiday trip," said Clover grandly. "Now, who wants to be first? Just 30, mind," he warned. "We'll be doing it again, so don't be disappointed." Clover handed round a bag with a lot of pebbles inside. Everyone stuck in a hand or paw. The lucky ones pulled out a red pebble, and in no time, 30 future travelers were scooting home to pack. 6 o'clock tomorrow morning," Clover reminded them. "Bring a change of clothes, a blanket for overnight, and a picnic basket." Next morning, bright and early, the Mouse sisters, Fox, Dormouse, Rabbit, Turtles, and a dozen other animals waited expectantly with Zag, Crocus, Campion, and some other gnomes. "Here they come!" shouted Fox. Redbeard came striding up. The excursion houses slung from a big tree trunk resting on his shoulders. Everyone climbed in, and away they went. "Oh!" gasped the travelers as they swung over the countryside. This was really seeing the world. "Look!" squeaked Squirrel. "There's the statue we dedicated to the gnomes when they saved us from the Great Flood." They stopped for a picnic by the lake, now called Lake of the Ring. After lunch, Redbeard strode into the boiling stone mountains. "How hot it is!" complained the furry animals, but Turtles thought it was just right. The sun began to set, and they emerged from the mountains into a cool wood. The travelers built a campfire and cooked a delicious supper. Afterward, they sat around the crackling fire and told tales of elves and fairies. Next morning, the sun flickered through the trees. The travelers awoke to find themselves in a beautiful wood with bluebells growing everywhere. "What's that tinkling?" asked Zag. "Tinkling," said Crocus, who was a little deaf. "Ah, now I hear it." The bluebells tinkled each time someone touched them, making a cheerful sound that soon had everyone smiling, then singing and dancing and giggling wildly. "Cover your ears!" Zag shouted to Crocus, suddenly realizing that they must be in the bluebell forest, in the heart of which stood the fairy castle. "It's the great fairy's magic, protecting the castle from intruders." Quickly, Zag and Crocus stuffed earth into their ears. All around them, the merrymakers were dancing and laughing as a strange pink mist crept through the trees, blown by a gentle breeze that kept the bluebells tinkling. Crocus rummaged in his pocket for the magic ring and slipped it on his finger. "No room, pon mates, no room," he whispered. He shook the earth out of his ears and rubbed the ring. "Speak out, great fairy," he shouted. "I am Crocus the magician gnome, and we are here on a peaceful visit." There was a pause. Out of the mist rose a tall castle. The bluebells stopped tinkling, and a sweet voice floated through the mist. "Don't you know we fairies don't want intruders in our wood?" Crocus plucked up his courage and answered, "You have nothing to fear, and we fear nothing either. Come to our homeland to visit us whenever you like." No answer came, but the mist and castle faded away, and the bluebells tinkled no more. Silently, the gnomes and animals climbed back into the excursion houses, and Redbeard headed for home. "I wonder if the fairies will come," said Crocus. "What an adventure that would be!"